Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. On today's video, I'm going to talk about 4 kind of under the radar, inexpensive options on the free agent market that I would really like to see the Giants pursue. Now, I don't want anybody to get this confused with me saying the team should not go after any big free agents. That is absolutely not the case. Anybody that's listened to the show in the past knows I'm an advocate for this is a big boy franchise. Let's act like it. Given the market they play and how rich they are, there's no excuse for them not to shop at the top of the market as well. But you can't fill every need at the top of the market. You're gonna, if we're lucky, they're gonna get one splash signing, and then they're gonna need to fill out the roster, likely elsewhere. So they've got a lot of needs. They're gonna need to get some guys for $10 million or less, and these are 4 guys that I think could really help this club going forward. So I picked 4 players. This is one for kind of each need. I looked at a starting pitcher, a relief pitcher, a guy, an outfielder, and a infielder. Now the infielder is kind of a utility, plays all over the map, but I looked at guys that can help kind of 4 different needs on the team. So starting off with the starting pitcher. Now, I don't think it's any secret from the way I've talked about him in the last couple of videos, but Cody Ponce is that guy for me. To me, I look at him and the upside that he brings. This is a guy that really the stuff should play. And I get it's Korea, it's a risk, all these different things. But every player that you sign is a risk. We saw that with Samardzija. We saw that with Cueto. We've seen that with any number of pitchers. That's just how it is. But with Cody Ponce, I see a guy that has the stuff of a number 3 starter. Whether he reaches that ceiling, I have no clue. But when you're looking at his projected deal, which MLB trade rumors put him at 2 years, $22 million, so $11 million AAV, they said maybe he gets a 3rd year. That's kind of what the Giants were paying Jordan Hicks, and they were able to move off that deal pretty quick. And that was a worse deal because it was 4 years. So to me, it's a limited risk deal, minimal, especially for a team as rich as the Giants, and the upside is huge. Now, a little bit about Ponce. He threw 180 innings in Korea last year. He won their quadruple crown there because they track winning percentage as one of their categories. But he led the league in innings, strikeouts, and ERA and winning percentage. Like he won the triple crown there. His pitch mix, his fastball, it has gotten up to 97.5 miles per hour. It was at 93.5 when he left the majors. He sits around 95 or so, 95, 96 typically. Throws a cutter, has a curveball and a changeup that he's really developed overseas that are both big time swing and miss pitches. He projects to be a really solid starter. He's got some histories from California, went to Cal Poly Pomona, I believe. George Kittle is his stepbrother or his brother-in-law. I'm sorry. This is a guy that has some ties to this side of the country. Maybe you can get him on one of those cheap deals, and it would allow you to pursue a top of the market starter, in my opinion, to pair up with him and really solidify the rotation. So he's my number 1 under the radar target. Now, before I get to number 2, for anybody that does enjoy the content we put out here, please do hit that like, hit that subscribe. Tomorrow night, we are going to be doing the Darian Smith interview. We were supposed to do it Monday. My apologies, everybody. I lost my voice, as you can probably still kind of tell. Dan was sick. Ricky was out of town. It just the perfect storm where none of us suddenly were available. So that's going to be going on Friday. Big thanks to Darian for being flexible and being able to push that back. But yeah, we'll just jump right back into the content. The number 2 target for me, there's a lot of talk about relievers and who they need to try and go get. Big names like Robert Suarez, Edwin Diaz. We've talked about guys like Kenley Jansen, Devin Williams, but here's an under the radar guy that I don't think is going to command that big of a deal and would probably allow you a little more flexibility in getting another guy like Tyler Rogers back as well. And that's Emilio Pagan, who played in Cincinnati last season, or the last couple of seasons, I should say. He's a right-handed pitcher. He's 34 years old. He's projected by MLB Trade Rumors to get a 2-year, $16 million deal, which is super reasonable. That's only $8 million AAV. He has 65 career saves, 32 last season. Last season, he threw 68 and 2/3 innings, 2.88 ERA, 0.92 WHIP, struck out 10.62 per nine, only walked 2.88 per nine. He did give up 1.31 home runs per nine, though. So what I see is a guy that doesn't walk a lot of guys. He strikes out a pretty reasonable number, a plus amount. Some closers are up at like 12, 13, 14 with the really nasty stuff, but he's a really solid overall closer. He's been plagued by the long ball. Now, a couple contributing factors. He played in Cincinnati. That's not that uncommon, but what better place for a guy that's main issue is homers than to put him in one of the most home run suppressant parks in baseball as his home games. So if we're talking about needing to find a closer for next season and not wanting to like break the bank, I think Pagan would be an excellent choice. Especially if you can get him at, 8 million AAV. If you're paying him $8 million and you get 30 plus saves out of him, you just got a steal relative to the rest of the league. A little bit about his pitch mix. He throws his fastball about 60% of the time. It averages 95.8. And then he also throws a splitter and a cutter. Splitter each about 20% of the time. The splitter is 83.9 miles per hour. The cutter is 86.9 miles per hour. Gets a lot of swing and misses, especially on the splitter. The cutter, he'll also get some whiffs, but not as, the splitter, it's like a 40% whiff rate. So they play really well. That's definitely his strikeout pitch. I think he'd be a great fit here. Like I said, you could get him and Rodgers, and you potentially could fill 2 spots in the back end of the bullpen for like less than $20 million. And I think that'd be a really wise way to build the roster. All right, the third underrated free agent target for the Giants to pursue would be Rob Refsnyder. He played in Boston last season. He's 34 years old. In 2025, he hit 269 with an 838 OPS, had 9 home runs, 30 RBIs. He's got a career 343 on base percentage. He walks a lot. He walks at a 10.7% walk rate, has struck out at about a 23% strikeout rate. Doesn't chase much. His 19.1% chase rate was 90. I think it was like 95th percentile. It's way up there. It's one of the best in the game. And importantly, he absolutely crushes left-handed pitching. Now, that's a big area of struggle for the Giants last season. Obviously, they were one of the worst teams in the entire league when it came to facing left-handed pitching. For whatever reason, they could face. It didn't matter if it was an elite lefty or if it was just kind of a number 5 starter, journeyman type. They could not seem to hit lefties last season at all. So go get a guy that can really help, especially in the outfield where you have Drew Gilbert. And if the team has confidence in him and they want to make him, at least the strong side of a platoon, I totally understand that. I'd like to see more out of the bat, but he's their best defensive outfielder right now. And I think that's going to buy him a long leash. But you definitely need somebody to help against left-handed pitching, at least currently. This is a guy that's really struggled in the minor leagues against lefties, hasn't shown a ton of development against left-handed pitching. So that's where bringing in a guy like Rob Refsnyder could be really beneficial to this club. If you look at his numbers against lefties, they're pretty insane. In 2025, he hit 302 with a 959 OPS, which came out to a 159 WRC plus. Walked at 13.3% of the time, struck out only 20.7% against left-handed pitching. For his career, he's a 281 with an 826 OPS and a 129 WRC plus against left-handed pitching. We gave Austin Slater a lot of grief a couple of years ago, and for me that was mainly because he was blocking Ramos, and I just wanted to clear the way for Elliot Ramos, and I think we were all proven right in that regard that Ramos was by far the better player at that point. But especially if they're going to go with Gilbert, who's not proven to be an everyday guy, I think it's really important to get a guy that absolutely can destroy left-handed pitching to pair up with him. Now, he's not a great defender. He has a good arm, not the best range. But you could live with playing him in the corner 25% of the time or 20% of the time. And I think what you can do with him, especially if the team is kind of sold on having Bryce Eldridge at the DH slash first base with Rafi, and then having, Gilbert and right, Lee in center. You can use him against lefties and kind of give different guys days off. If you want to give Bryce Eldridge a day off, you can move Ramos to DH and put Ref Snyder in left. If you want to give Gilbert the day off, you just put Ref Snyder in right. If you want to give Lee the day off, you can shift Gilbert over to center field, put Ref Snyder in right field. It gives you some versatility there and options to give different people days off against left-handed pitching, which I think would be important for this club. So that could really help this team. He did not have a projection on MLB trade rumors, which the lowest guy on the list we're about to get to was at 2 for 14 million. So, I mean, I'm thinking you can probably get him for, $4 or $5 million. It's not going to be break the bank there for a bench piece, really help this club and strengthen this bench, which was absolute weakness for this team last season. And then the last player on the list, Willie Castro. He's a utility player. He's 29 years old. He's projected a 2-year, $14 million deal, like I just said. 7 million AAV. He's a switch hitter. He's played every position on the diamond except catcher and pitcher. 72nd percentile sprint speed. He did steal 33 bases in 2023. Really struggled with the Cubs last season in the second half, but prior to being traded for them the previous 2.5 years, he hit 250 in Minnesota. He's not a great bat. Like, he's career-wise, I think about 92 WRC plus. He had 3 straight plus seasons defensively in 22, 23, 24. He was solid. And then last year he struggled quite a bit. So to me, he is just a solid pro. He's not going to be the biggest difference maker, but he is a switch hitter, so he gives you a left-handed option in the infield if you decide you need it occasionally. Another bench piece late in games that you can use for matchups. I like the fit. I like his ability to play all over the field. I think it would help this team. Gives you another veteran presence. They have a pretty young team. I know we all focus on Chapman, Adames, Devers, but outside those 3 guys, you look at this roster, it's a pretty young roster when it comes to the position player side. So getting a couple of veterans might not be the worst idea if you can kind of limit their roles. I still think the young players need to be playing more, but if in certain roles, these guys can be really helpful to this club. So there you go. There's 4 guys that I see as kind of under the radar guys that could really help the Giants next season. Not necessarily being the guys that drive the bus, but I think those are guys that can be beneficial if they can also try and go get that big guy like Amai, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the next day or two, as to help the Giants and help try and get back to the playoffs. I mean, we're all tired of the 81-81. I like the coaching staff that they're filling out the team with, but at the end of the day, you got to get the players on the field for those guys. So appreciate everybody for stopping by. We'll be back tomorrow night with the Darian Smith interview. Until next time, go Giants.